All right, y'all, let's talk about it. This is something that I have been breaking down on my YouTube page for the past week, I feel like it's been. So I've got multiple videos where I break down this lawsuit, but let's talk about this most recent article that was released by Forbes. So go to Forbes.com, you'll be able to read this directly from the website. But there is a lawsuit right now currently against the Department of Education that is in process. And we're going to talk about it, okay? So here on the Forbes website, it talks about these five student loan borrower groups may be covered by class action suit. Now, in order to get to the actual lawsuit, if you are curious and you want to read it, which I recommend every student loan borrower to read this lawsuit, this is how you get to it. So what you do is you just go to Court Listener. Let me show you the screen. So you go to courtlistener.com. Or you can just go to Google and type in the American Federation of Teachers versus the U.S. Department of Education, and you'll be able to see court listing. That's usually the first or the second one that will pop up. You'll see that the date when the original complaint was filed, and you'll see everything that's been happening with the case from the date of filing. But we're going to get all the way down here because this is where this article that we're going to read, this is what it's in reference to, okay? So just recently here, there was an amended complaint that was filed to the main complaint, and that was on September 9th. And this is where you can actually read the document here. So you'll see the main document, and then you can just download it directly from here, okay? And this is what it'll look like. It's 37 pages. It's not even a really long read. Let me tell you, there's so much information in here that you want to read it. I also break it down on my YouTube page. So if you're not someone that wants to go through it, I break it down for you on my YouTube pages in different sections where I break down each one of these areas separately. So you can go back on my YouTube page and take a look at it if you want to just get more in depth on the lawsuit if you don't want to read it yourself. All right, let's go back to the Forbes article here and let's talk about it. So it says these five student loan borrower groups may be covered by class action suit. Let's get into what exactly that they're talking about, okay? So it says a major legal battle is brewing over the Trump administration's handling of several federal student loan forgiveness and repayment programs. And depending on how things go in court, hundreds of thousands of borrowers could be impacted. The American Federation of Teachers, one of the nation's largest teacher unions, filed an amended complaint earlier this month in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. The amended complaint serves as an update to the legal challenge that the AFT first brought against the Department of Education and Secretary Linda McMahon last spring over stalled application processing for income-driven repayment or IDR plans. The AFT's amended complaint accuses the department of taking actions that are causing widespread processing delays and preventing borrowers from accessing affordable payments and student loan forgiveness under several IDR plans, as well as public service loan forgiveness, or PSLF for short. Borrowers are and have been unable to access affordable monthly payment plans. Some borrowers are being and have been thrust into default on their debt, and some borrowers are being denied their right to have their loans canceled through IDR PSLF. Okay. And this is what's in the complaint. And you'll be able to see that when you go to the complaint, you'll see exactly what it's about. They'll give you the preliminary statement, the actual factual allegation. They'll give you a history on repayment plans. There's a lot in this lawsuit. Like you should definitely read it. Okay. Or go to my YouTube page and you can see me break it down for you. Okay. All right. So last week, the AFT filed a motion for class certification. And when you go to the court listener, you'll be able to see that as well. So let me scroll down a little bit and you'll be able to see all of that here. Okay. So you can read that, you can download it and all of that. Okay, which is a request that the court classify the legal challenges as a class action lawsuit. This would allow the union to seek immediate nationwide relief for millions of student loan borrowers via a preliminary injunction, which is emergency relief ordered by a court before the merits of the legal challenges have been fully evaluated. If the court agrees to certify the challenge as a class action lawsuit and issues a preliminary injunction, and it tells you what a preliminary injunction is, a ruling could be issued as soon as this fall. 5 broad groups of student loan borrowers could be covered regardless of whether they individually join or actively participate in the litigation. Here's a breakdown. And this is why it's important, because although this is a class action lawsuit that's been brought by the American Federation of Teachers and student loan borrowers that they represent, but this affects every single student loan borrower in general. If you're someone and you're trying to get in an income-driven repayment plan, you qualify for public service loan forgiveness, and things have been on a complete backlog, you're trying to get PSLF buyback, this lawsuit applies to you. Depending on the outcome of it, can be effective, can affect you as a student loan borrower. So let's read about it. So student loan borrowers with pending IDR applications. The AFT filed its original lawsuit in March overstall IDR applications. And that is where, when you go back to the actual complaint on court listener, that is where the original complaint was. So March 18th, which is my birthday, but this is where you'll see that document. Okay, let's go back. All right, so it filed its original lawsuit in March over stalled IDR applications, which impacted student loan borrowers applying for ICR, IBR pay and save plans. IDR plans allow borrowers to make affordable payments based on their income and family size and to receive student loan forgiveness for any unpaid balance after 20 or 25 years in repayment. The AFT had argued in its original lawsuit that the department decision to suspend IDR processing in response to a court order in a legal challenge over the SAVE plan was unlawful and deprived borrowers of accessing affordable repayment plans as well as PSLF. Enrolling in IDR is typically required for borrowers pursuing student loan forgiveness under PSLF. That's one of the requirements in order for you to qualify for public service loan forgiveness. Not only do you have to be working for a qualifying employer, but you also have to be making your payments under a qualifying repayment plan. The department contended that it had to shut down the IDR system temporarily to comply with a court order and update the application system. The department also noted that it resumed IDR application processing for ICR, IBR, and pay plans relatively quickly. Officials blamed any resulting backlog on prior actions by the Biden-Harris administration. The parties reached an interim agreement in April to allow the department to process IDR applications and reduce the massive backlog, which has stood at around 2 million applications at the time. According to monthly status reports, the department has since filed in accordance with that interim agreement. The backlog has essentially been cut in half during the last 6 months. But the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, contends that this progress is insufficient. With more than 1 million IDR applications still unprocessed, the union argues that it could take the department another 6 months or longer to get through the remaining backlog of application. As a result, the AFT is now seeking class action status for all borrowers with a pending IDR application. In its amended complaint, according to the department's most recent data, that would include 1,076,266 borrowers. Okay? So this is all borrowers with pending IDR applications. Student loan borrowers whose IDR applications were denied. The AFT also contends that the department has denied or will deny en masse hundreds of thousands of borrowers who apply for IDR using an older version of the application. These borrowers selected either the SAVE plan, which remains blocked due to ongoing legal challenge, or they checked the box on the application allowing their loan servicer to choose their plan for them based on the option that offered the lowest monthly payment. Like I said, when you go back and read the lawsuit, it goes more into details about this. But like I said, I break it down in my YouTube to explain this a little bit more. It was reported that the department was summarily denied pending IDR applications from borrowers who requested to be placed in a plan that would result in the lowest monthly payment, said the AFT in its amended complaint. The approved formed in use prior to March 26, 2025, not just allowed, but recommended that borrowers select the option that will result in lowest monthly payment. The terms and conditions articulated the way that the department will place eligible borrowers in a plan should multiple repayment provide the same payment amount. According to reports, an estimated 460,000 borrowers will have their application rejected and will have to apply for IDR again and select a specific plan. Although this will likely result in a significant decrease in the number of pending IDR applications, it does not reflect the true processing rate demonstrated by the monthly status reports. And when you go back to the case, you see this word monthly status reports. So under the original complaint, part of that was for the Department of Education to provide status reports every month to let us know as student loan borrowers exactly where they are in the processing of income during repayment plan applications, PSLF buyback, just where they are with the processing of these applications. So when you go through the complaint, if you haven't looked at a status report, you'll be able to see, hang on, let me scroll down. I want to scroll too fast. But you'll be able to see the status reports, and these started in, it was either April. Yeah, they started in April. Where is it? Okay. The first one came out in May, but the order was in April. But you'll see the very first status report. And it's not allowing you to click on it. Let's see. Oh, okay, so you just download it. That's right, I forget. So you'll be able to see the very first status report on the 15th of May. You'll be able to download it or just click the main document here. And this is where you'll be able to see where the Department of Education, where they were showing where they are with income during repayment plan applications and also PSLF buyback requests. And you'll be able to see every single one of those that stem from April the 1st all the way up to current, okay? All right, and as you continue to scroll down the document, you'll be able to see all the different status reports. So you'll see them April, May, June, July, August. It goes all the way through down to September. Latest one, September 15, 2025. Okay. All right, let's go back. So as a result, the AFT is seeking class action status for all borrowers who have their IDR application denied because, one, their IBR application was denied after July 4th due to an asserted lack of partial financial hardship, or two, the borrower elected for the lowest monthly repayment option on the Office of Management and Budget forms. This is the next set of borrowers who are not getting student loan forgiveness under IBR. Earlier this summer, the Department of Education quietly announced on its website that it had temporarily suspended student loan forgiveness under income-based repayment. Now, income-based repayment is a statutory approved by Congress repayment plan, and they talk about this as well in the lawsuit, okay? For borrowers who reach the 20 or 25-year threshold, the department confirmed that loan forgiveness under IBR is not on hold or blocked by any court, but said that pause was necessary in order to update its systems. Generally, ED can and will process loan forgiveness for the IBR plan, said the department in its online guidance. Payments on Pay, Save, and ICR plans are counted towards IBR plan forgiveness if the borrower enrolls in IBR currently. IBR forgiveness is paused while our systems are updated to accurately count months not affected by the court's injunction. IBR forgiveness will resume once these updates are completed. But the AFT argues that the department's suspension of the student loan forgiveness under IBR is unlawful and it is actively harming borrowers. To ensure that borrowers will not remain indebted forever, Congress provided that the Secretary must cancel a borrower's outstanding principal and interest due if they have ever elected to participate in IBR and once they have made qualifying payments for a period not to exceed 25 years, said the AFT in its amended complaint. The union accuses the department of withholding debt cancellation under IBR, which it concedes is required by law. The AFT noted that starting in 2026, student loan forgiveness under IBR will be treated as taxable income again, after congressional Republicans allowed temporary tax relief for borrowers to expire. This could result in significant tax liability incurred by borrowers who would otherwise have no tax consequences if their student loans were forgiven this year when they first reached their eligibility threshold. So let me show you what they're talking about. And this is in the lawsuit when they talk about the tax implications of borrowers under the American Rescue Act. Let me show you really quick. Let's see. The American Recovery Plan Act. So basically what this plan is, or what this act was, it was a temporary act that was put in place during COVID. And what it allows is for student loan borrowers who have their student loans discharged prior to December 3rd or by December 31st, 2025, to not have any tax implications. Because depending on what state that you're in, some borrowers it'll be counted as income. So the forgiven balance on your student loans will be considered as income. But under this temporary plan or this temporary act, so to speak, borrowers didn't have to worry about that. But with the Department of Education not processing forgiveness, what that means for some student loan borrowers who have their loans, if these loans aren't discharged, if the Department of Education doesn't get the processing together of the applications, and you can see from the status reports how backed up they are. If they don't get these applications processed, especially for those who are already at the threshold whose loans should legally be discharged, what that means for them or could potentially mean for them is that if those student loans are discharged after December 31st, then they're going to be, they could possibly have a huge tax bill because of that forgiven balance. They won't be able to benefit from the American Recovery Plan Act. Okay, so that's basically what they're talking about. Okay, so there's that, and they talk about this in the lawsuit. December 31st, 2025, the canceled amount will be considered taxable income for federal income tax purposes. Okay, all right. So let's go back. All right, so let's see. Borrowers who are not getting student loan forgiveness under ICR or pay. The Department of Education has also halted student loan forgiveness under the ICR and pay plans as a result of the ongoing legal challenge over SAVE. The statute that the department relied on to create the SAVE plan through regulatory action is the same statute that was used to establish ICR and pay. The department contends that student loan forgiveness under all three plans were effectively halted by the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals when it issued the injunction blocking SAVE earlier this year, as the underlying statute is being challenged in that litigation. Forgiveness as a feature of, and this is just basically what the Department of Education is saying, forgiveness as a feature of the SAVE Pay and ICR plan is currently paused because those plans were not created by Congress, said the department in online guidance that was updated in July. The department contrasted these plans with student loan forgiveness under the IBR plan, which is explicitly authorized by statute. But the AFT disagrees with the interpretation of the Eighth Circuit's ruling and argues that the department's denials of student loan forgiveness under PAN ICR is just as unlawful as the denials under IBR. And this is all in the lawsuit, okay? In the complaint. Although a preliminary injunction in the SAVE litigation, this is what the AFT, American Federation of Teachers, is saying. Although a preliminary injunction in the SAVE litigation prohibits the department from providing IDR cancellation pursuant to the SAVE plan, nothing is preventing the department from canceling eligible borrowers' debt through the IBR ICR pay plans. Said the AFT in this complaint, the AFT is seeking class action status for all borrowers who have made required payments for loan cancellation under ICR and pay plans, but have not yet received cancellation. So basically what the Department of Education is doing is trying to enjoin the ICR and pay-as-you-earn plans into the SAVE litigation with the injunction. They're trying to use, or what they have been, is using the SAVE injunction or the litigation in order to deny access to borrowers who qualify to have their student loans discharged under ICR and pay-as-you-earn, okay? Even though as well, IBR, they've also paused the forgiveness under that as well. But IBR is in statute, ICR and pay, they're just trying to utilize that or enjoin that into the SAVE injunction, which that is not expressed in that particular ruling through the Eighth Circuit Court, okay? Borrowers who are not getting student loan forgiveness under PSLF, the AFT also contends in its amended complaint that the Department of Education is effectively denying student loan forgiveness under PSLF. While PSLF itself is not facing legal challenges, student loan forgiveness under PSLF is not directly blocked by any court, and the department continues to approve borrowers for discharge under PSLF. The AFT argues that many borrowers are being prevented from accessing PSLF benefits due to the array of problems with IDR processing applications. Enrolling in the IDR plan is required for most borrowers who want to pursue PSLF. This is what I mentioned in the beginning. The AFT also noticed that the application backlogs for PSLF buyback program, which give borrowers an opportunity to make a lump sum payment so that certain non-qualifying periods of deferment or forbearance can count toward loan forgiveness, continues to grow larger despite steady processing. For borrowers who have been stuck in the SAVE litigation forbearance and seek to recuperate that time to count for PSLF using the PSLF buyback program, the department is not processing their buyback applications. The AFT is seeking class action status for borrowers who are being denied student loan forgiveness under PSLF. Specifically, the class, if approved, will cover all borrowers who have satisfied the public service requirements of PSLF, but whose loans have not been forgiven because the department has not processed their buyback applications. So we know there's a lot that is going on with this lawsuit. But there is information here when you go back and you look at the report, you look at the complaint here to see where everything is. And if you look at the order on motion for briefing, you can see that there's also a time frame when all of this is supposed to be completed. So we're looking at some time in October that they're looking for things. So we've got October 17, the motion hearing on October 31st. So next month, we know it's going to be a lot of action that we should start seeing. And I'll definitely be keeping up with this. So make sure you like, subscribe, share this post, because I'll be bringing up, well, we're going to keep up with it and see what happens and what comes of all of this. Also, if you have not been to the American Federation of Teachers, their website, I love reading lawsuits. I love just understanding those who bring lawsuits against the Department of Education, how they are actually doing it. I like to know what laws they are using and everything else. But one thing about it, I went directly to the American Federation of Teachers website because I wanted to know what type of organization they were. And when I got there, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, actually had released a book the same day that I was reading the lawsuit. She released a book that I was able to purchase. So go check that out and get the book. It's on Amazon, $30. And so far it's a great read. But I'd like to just get an understanding of how these organizations that bring lawsuits against the Department of Education, what is their thought process like, and exactly how they do it. All right. Stay tuned for the next one.